Major Jonathan Steele was not just any Marine, he was among the elite, a legend in the making with countless successful missions under his belt. His reputation as a fearless and strategic leader had earned him the respect of his men and the unwavering trust of his superiors. But none of his past exploits could prepare him for the mission that would come to define his career. It was a crisp, early morning at Camp Valor, a remote Marine base nestled deep in the jungle. Major Jonathan was in the middle of a routine training session with his unit when the call came in, a high-priority emergency that demanded immediate action. He sprinted to the command tent, his senses already on high alert. Major Steele barked General Harlan, the base commander, as Jonathan entered. The urgency in his voice was palpable. "We have a situation. Senator Whitaker's daughter, Emily, has been abducted by a terrorist cell. They've taken her to Blackthorn Island, a heavily fortified location about 60 miles from here. They're demanding the release of prisoners, or they'll execute her." Jonathan's jaw clenched. Emily Whitaker was more than just the senator's daughter. She was a bright young woman with a future as promising as her father's. Jonathan had met her briefly during a charity event at the Capitol. She was kind, intelligent, and full of life. The thought of her in the hands of those terrorists made his blood boil. "Permission to lead the rescue, sir," Jonathan requested, his voice steady and determined. "Granted," the general replied without hesitation. "But this won't be easy, Jonathan. Blackthorn is a fortress. We've got intel on their defenses, but time is against us. You'll need to move fast and strike hard." "Understood, sir. I'll assemble the team." Within minutes, Jonathan had selected a small unit of his most skilled Marines, men he knew he could trust with his life. These were the best of the best, handpicked for their expertise in covert operations. Among them was Sergeant Jack Hawk Hawkins, a sniper with unparalleled precision, and Corporal Mark Ghost Reynolds, a master of infiltration and close-quarters combat. As the team boarded the Black Hawk helicopter, the weight of the mission hung heavy in the air. The rotor blades roared to life, and the chopper lifted off, slicing through the early morning mist as it headed toward Blackthorn Island. Jonathan briefed his team during the flight, outlining their strategy with military precision. "Intel suggests Emily is being held in a compound on the north side of the island," Jonathan explained, pointing to a map. "We'll insert here." He indicated a small clearing on the southern edge, under the cover of darkness. "Hawk, you'll set up an overwatch position to provide cover. Ghost, you're with me. We'll breach the compound and extract Emily." The plan was simple, but Jonathan knew it would require flawless execution. The terrorists were well armed and had likely fortified the compound, expecting an assault. But Jonathan also knew that speed and surprise were their greatest allies. As they approached the island, the helicopter's lights were cut, plunging them into near-total darkness. The pilot expertly navigated to the insertion point, and the team rappelled down silently, disappearing into the jungle like shadows. The island was eerily quiet, the only sound being the distant crash of waves against the rocky shore. Jonathan led the team through the dense foliage, moving with the practiced stealth of a predator. They reached the edge of the compound within minutes, and Hawk took up his position in a tree, his sniper rifle trained on the enemy guards. "Ready when you are, Major," Hawk's voice crackled softly over the radio. Jonathan nodded, even though Hawk couldn't see him. "On my mark." Ghost slipped ahead, disabling a patrol guard with a silent chokehold before dragging him into the underbrush. Jonathan moved in next, planting a small charge on the compound's gate. It was a risk. Any explosion would alert the terrorists, but they needed to breach quickly. 3, 2, 1, mark. Jonathan whispered. The gate exploded inward, and Hawk's rifle cracked in the same instant, dropping 2 guards before they could react. Jonathan and Ghost stormed through the smoke and debris, their weapons at the ready. Inside, the compound was a labyrinth of corridors and locked doors. They moved swiftly, taking down any resistance with brutal efficiency. Every second counted. Finally, they reached a heavily guarded room at the back of the compound. From behind the door, Jonathan heard the muffled sound of a woman crying. It had to be Emily. He motioned to Ghost, who planted a small breach charge. "Emily Whitaker!" Jonathan shouted as the charge blew the door off its hinges. "We're here to get you out." Emily was huddled in the corner, her eyes wide with fear and relief. Jonathan rushed to her side, while Ghost secured the room. "You're safe now," Jonathan assured her, cutting the ropes that bound her wrists. "We're getting you out of here." As they exited the room, the compound erupted into chaos. Reinforcements had arrived, and the terrorists were fighting back with everything they had. Hawk's sniper fire picked off attackers as Jonathan, Ghost, and Emily made their way back through the compound. The Black Hawk helicopter hovered above the compound as they emerged, its side door open and ready for extraction. Jonathan covered Emily as she climbed aboard, then turned to Ghost. "Go, I'll cover you," Jonathan shouted. Ghost nodded, leaping onto the helicopter. Jonathan followed, firing a few last shots to keep the enemy at bay. As soon as he was inside, the helicopter ascended, rising out of range of the terrorists' guns. They were safe. Jonathan breathed a sigh of relief as they sped away from Blackthorn Island, the compound shrinking into the distance. Emily was safe, and the mission was a success. But Jonathan knew this was only the beginning. The terrorists had been dealt a blow, but they would regroup. As they approached Camp Valor, the sun was beginning to rise, casting a golden hue over the horizon. The mission had been dangerous, but for Major Jonathan Steele, it was just another day in the life of a Marine. He was already thinking about the next challenge, the next mission, because that was who he was, a protector, a warrior, and a leader who never backed down. And today, he had saved a life. The life of someone who mattered more than she knew. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.